Should I focus on making content that is more generalized in nature or based on news, events, the season, etc.? Okay. Okay. I think I understand what they're asking for. So they're asking, should they create content on their website that's going to be valid or representative all year long, or should they try to basically hack away at things that are happening, like posts regarding, something that had to do with the Super Bowl when it's the time for the year of the Super Bowl, or 4th of July, or try to take advantage of maybe something that's in the headlines of the news or something like that. What I would say is ideally you want to have a mix. You want to have content on your website and in your social media feed that's more generalized. It seems to be true at all times, just talks about your products and services in a way that's not trying to tie it to anything ripped out of the local news. But there's also a time when, if there is a big news story and you have the ability to hack at the popularity of that story, I think there's an opportunity there to utilize that to get a little bit more a little bit more views and a little bit more traction out of that post. So I don't think it's an either or thing. I don't think you want to always try to hack away at something that's in the news or the time of year or something like that. But I don't think you never want to do that either. I do think there's a place for what I mentioned earlier as evergreen content about your product or service that's always true. I think there's always a place for mixing content like that in. I do think, whether it's on social media or your website, using, something ripped from the headlines or a latest news story or something like that to sort of make a little bit of, a joke, although please be careful that you don't go over a line with a joke or something like that. But if you could comment on something that's in the news and tie it into your product and service in a way that's maybe fun or funny or relevant, I think there's always a way to do that. You just got to be careful. One example is right after some recent shootings at the school down in Uvalde, Texas. We had some content queued up for a couple of clients that was talking about school safety. And we decided to pull that content because we didn't actually want that to feel like we were like ambulance chasing, like within the week after that tragedy happened, that we were posting something about school safety. So we actually decided to create some different content and come back to that school safety post at some point in the future, because we didn't want the feeling from the public to be that we were trying to take advantage of that tragedy or leverage that tragedy. So you've always got to be careful when you're doing these things and kind of try to read the tea leaves and not put yourself in a bad situation where somebody can take what you're doing and misconstrue it or think that you're trying to do something inappropriate. So let me see. Brandon, yeah, please, if you need to message me later, just, go ahead. You can reach me via DM, whatever. Good to see everybody drop it in. So with regard to some of the things we talked about, again, creating content. We had a lot of questions about content is important, but you want to make sure you have a purpose for it. Don't just generate content for no reason. You either want to be bolstering those pillar pieces of content on your website. You want to be using it to essentially enhance or to highlight something about your product or service. You want to use it to maybe create a situation where maybe something that's in the news, you're tying your product to that or something like that. But have a purpose for why you're creating every piece of content. Don't just mindlessly just continue to generate content, especially like the first question that came out, that they said they're running out of things to think about. If you feel like you're bored of what you're writing and that you're running out of things to think about, there's a good chance the people that are reading it will feel bored and not want to read it as well. So if you can't bring something new to the table, if you don't have a purpose or you don't have a reason for writing it, don't just write it to just jam another piece of content on your website. Try to go at it with a purpose of what you're trying to accomplish with this piece of content. I mentioned several different things that might be what you're trying to accomplish. So hopefully in answering these first three questions, we actually touched on a lot of different things there. So